Good morning. This is Trang Vo at the California ISO. Thank you for joining us for the Release User Group on November 28, 2023. As a reminder, today's call and webinar will be recorded and published on the ISO website for a limited time, and participants are muted upon entry, so you may need to unmute yourself via the WebEx as well as your audio line to make a verbal comment or ask a verbal question. You are also welcome to send a message in the chat, and I will address those along the way. Right. So let's go ahead and get started. We do not have a training slide today. We, as usual, have the training materials as well as other artifacts and valuable information on the Learning Center. And when we do have upcoming additional training offerings on the horizon, then we will reintroduce that slide to the presentation. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into the release plan. So there are many changes in the release plan today. As discussed in the last RUG, we wanted to continue to formalize and finalize the 2024 and beyond plan. So you'll see some new items here that we'll kind of walk through as we continue to sum it up. So on the release plan summary, we have just a reminder of the release communication. For our independent 2023 releases to wrap up the year, just a reminder that we had 2 changes that did get implemented in production since the last release user group. So the ADS change to partial acceptance, as well as the e-tagging auto approval change for e-tag submitted after T-20. Those were implemented as of November 15th. We have a new minor item that is added here that we wanted to just make sure we have increased visibility on. So this third item for Independent 2023 is a change to the CMRI RTD schedules data. So in that report, what we're doing is we're making a change to align the market data for WEIM resource awards during CAISO RTCD events to DOT and DOP coming from advisory data. So it's not a change that you'll see to the interfaces, but again, the backend data that's going into the CMRI RTD schedules report will be updated to be, again, more in alignment with DOT and DOP values. So that is scheduled for November 29th. You'll also see corresponding notices come out from our customer team on those as well. Okay. And then we have an update on variable O&M cost review that is on track to be effective December 1st. For summer 2024, we have the Transmission Service and Market Scheduling Priorities Phase 2 and Transmission Exchange Agreement. So we are still working on getting the BRSs out for those. And then on independent 2024 releases, you'll see some familiar items as well as some new items. So we'll start with from the top of the list. We have our URL and IP changes where the first phase is complete, and we are in a transition period right now. So we have several slides for that, so I'll just hold off and go over the details when we get there. For transmission register system upgrade, that market simulation date should actually be changed. We're targeting to start this week, and we do have a slide for that, and then production is on track for January 2024. For RSEE Phase 2 Track 2, we have our activation planned for February. We're familiar with that effort. And then Hybrid Resources Phase 2C for RIMS is still planned for 2024, as well as CRR system upgrade. So the new items that you see are the CAISO website replacement, also planned for this year. And then we have FERC 881 compliance item for managing transmission line ratings. So we do have that split into several different tracks, and we have out of those track 1 and 2 planned for 2024. And then you'll see in spring 2026, we have DAME activation, the EDAM ISO BA participation rules, track A, and then the EDAM activation, as well as the EDAM onboarding of PacifiCorp, and our WEIM onboarding of BHE Montana. Okay. So do we have any general questions or comments on the release plan summary prior to going through the rest of the presentation? Okay, I don't see any. Oh, I do see a hand raised. Go ahead, Tanyu, please unmute your line and go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, good morning. Sorry, I was looking for DIM and EDIM, and now I see it. Sorry, that was yeah. No question for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll go
Hi,
ahead
Trang.
and.
This is Elena from
Oh, hi.
PGL. Good morning.
Yeah,
Trang, in
good morning.
independent 2023 releases, I don't see WEIM resource sufficiency evaluation. That was a part of fall.
Yeah, it's actually moved to independent 2024 because while the market simulation is planned to kick off,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
correct.
at the yeah, so that's there. So
Right.
okay.
I was considering the market simulation, so yeah.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yep, the TR and RSEE are in that same boat right now, where the market simulation will start this year, but the release date is driven by the production implementation. So thanks for looking though. Okay.
Any idea when will
All
the market simulation start for WEM resource
right.
sufficiency?
Yeah. So we have a slide for that, but to answer your question quickly, we have a target of December 11th for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can cover some more when we get to that slide, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let me go ahead and move forward. So for Citi, again, Citi is now updated past fall 2023. And so now we've removed the market simulation fall 2023 functional environment. So you have a new option of release for any questions related to releases that are not directly related to market sim. So you can use that in Citi for VRS feedback or comments, implementation questions, and other things related to the release. And then any inquiries for market simulation can use the functional environment of market simulation now. There will no longer be any seasonal options there. Okay, moving forward to independent 2023. The variable O&M cost review does have an update. Last week, we did receive our FERC acceptance of our filing ER 23-2956. So with that, we are proceeding with our internal steps to make the data in master file effective for December 1st. You'll also receive a notice that is planned to be published tomorrow to announce the same. Okay. Any questions or comments here? Okay, so that is the remaining production effort for 2023, aside from that CMRI data update that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so we can go on to summer 2024 release, where we have TSMST2. And again, the BRS, we are working to finalize that. And when it comes to the tariff, we just added some additional tariff activities that occurred in the past just for visibility of those. So you can see that we did get an acceptance of the filing 2510 October 30th. And then we have the track 2, draft tariff language and revised draft tariff language that are available with an anticipated filing of that in January 2024. Okay. And then our next summer initiative for 2024 is transmission exchange agreement. So we are working on, again, getting the BRSs for these two as soon as possible. Okay. Any questions or comments on the summer release so far? Okay, Jen, you please go ahead.
Yeah, can you please go back to the last slide?
This one?
BPM. Yeah, so I guess maybe we will wait for later for the market sim as a part of the milestone.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yep, I'll add that on there too, but we do anticipate a market simulation for this. And so we're working through the timing and the scope of that based on, again, having the two different tracks at this time. Right?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right. Okay, no other questions on summer, then we'll go to the independent 2024 releases. So we've seen in many of the forums the URL and IP changes, so I won't go over this in detail, but I do want to emphasize a specific point is that while the existing or the old URLs continue to be available even from now through the 9th, because of the switch of the current URL to the new infrastructure on January 9th, we are strongly encouraging customers to cut over to the new URLs as soon as possible and to stay on those through January 9. And that is to serve two purposes. One is to minimize any chance of disruption for those that would be on the existing URLs when we cut over to new infrastructure. And then secondly, it gives the ISO more visibility of those that have tested and cut over so that we can tailor our outreach to customers, heavy users of the APIs that could potentially be impacted by the cutover to new hardware and infrastructure on January 9th. So the big takeaway here really is just to work with your technology departments to cut over to the new APIs as soon as possible if you're able to do so to avoid any interruption on January 9th. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? All right. We'll continue to cover that in the TOG, of course, and send notices out. And then for the UIs, we do have a target date for the production availability of the new UI URL for reporting. That's planned for Monday, December 4. And you'll also see the deprecation date. So again, we have several notices going out about the UI changes as well. So this is just a reminder. All right, so let's go to TR, system upgrade. So you'll see here that we have the TR framework upgrade and then the corresponding provisioning changes. So not only is TR impacted, but there are adjustments in AIM as well. So we did not have a BRS for this. It's mostly regression testing. And where you can find the most useful information will be the user guides. You'll see that there are 4 updated user guides that were made available as of November 20, and they're on the application access page. And then the training is available on the Learning Center that was held on November 15. Our market simulation is planned to start this week. You'll receive a notice when we have confirmed our readiness for that in map stage. And then production is on track for January 2024. Any questions or comments here? All right, Kevin, please go ahead.
Just a quick question for you. For the market sim window, do you have an end date for that yet?
We don't, Kevin. It's going to depend on, of course, when we can start that market simulation and make that open, because we want to make sure that we account for any the amount of testing that customers will need. So, so I anticipate at least a week or 2 of simulation for that. And then, of course, once that's open, then we'll leave it there for probably through the production implementation.
Okay, got it. And for the production, would it be like early January or like mid or late January?
I don't have a confirmation yet. Again, that's going to depend on when we can open that up, because we don't want to we don't want to shorten your time in market simulation. We want to give time to be able to fully test that and then determine the production date. But there's not a hard dependency for the TR or a certain date in production that I have to in January that I have to go by. So I think that's just going to be based on when we can start market simulation.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, great. And Chen Yu, please go ahead.
Yeah, to follow up on that, market sim. So it's starting this week. Sorry. And is it going to be today, or do we know which day? Or it's already, everything already in the map stage?
Yeah, so it is not for certain today yet. Just stay tuned for a notice that will go out as soon as we make our decision. I think we were targeting to start, even though it says this week, we were targeting to start today, but we don't have that final confirmation yet.
Okay, so we shall see a notice come out.
Yes.
Sometime this week. Just pay attention to
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and of course, if there's any other change past that, then you'll also get a notice. So one way or the other, there will be a notice.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. All right. RSEE, Phase 2, Track 2. So for this one, the update is about market simulation and production. So for market simulation, as I mentioned earlier, we are targeting to start December 11th. So we're wrapping up some final internal testing that we have. And then we do anticipate starting the kickoff call for market simulation for this effort on Thursday, December 7th, and then starting those simulation that following week on Monday, December 11th. And then you'll see notices for this, of course, as well as we committed to before, because we don't want to rely just on the forums. So we know a lot of people are interested in this. So we'll have calls Mondays and Thursdays at 2 for this market simulation starting on December 7th. Right? And then for production, you'll see that the February 21st is the specific target date for that implementation. Do you have any questions or comments here? All right. And then hybrid 2C for RIMS. No changes to this slide, but we are looking at the later half of the year, so around August or later for this implementation. And then on to CRR. So for CRR, a lot of the activities right now are happening when there are updates in the CPG. The next one is scheduled for Wednesday, December 13th. So stay tuned to notices for that, to either announcing the materials and presentation being posted or a cancellation of that. But at this time, it is on the calendar for December 13th, where you can follow along for additional updates.
Trang, could you
All
go
right.
to the previous slide, please, of CRR, the milestone slide? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So if you look at the last fourth item, sorry, fifth item, deployment plan, draft deployment plan is yes. Do you know what is the when is the publication date of this deployment plan? Because in the previous CPG calls, there was always a mention about this deployment plan publication, but so far we have not heard of it. So any idea?
So I don't have a target date for that yet, but I will follow up with the CPG team, and also when they send out the notice for the next CRR CPG, I'll ask if they can provide an update on the deployment plan, either in the notice itself or in the CPG if they have it. So
Thank
so
you.
Lena, I'll reach out to you, and then I'll follow up with the team to broadcast that information out to the rest of the audience as well.
That would be great.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right. So let's move on to a new item that we have. FERC 881, Managing Transmission Line Ratings. So you'll see that for 2024, we have tracks 1 and 2 that are planned for implementation. Right now, you'll just see a slide that shows the overall effort, and then we'll continue to break out the milestones for the separate and the separate tracks for this as well. So you can see this is a compliance item for FERC, and you'll see that there are 4 objectives there that are identified in the order. And there have been tariff activities already, so you'll see the draft tariff language, the revised draft tariff language, the filing in July, as well as the acceptance in April of this year. And for production, we have 2024 for both of those tracks. Okay. So more information to come on this, and I do expect at the next RUG that will ask for some SMEs to come and provide more information. So today it's more introducing this, and then if there are questions that you have on these new initiatives or any of the release initiatives, you can submit a city or send an email to release@CAISO.com, and then we can queue those up for a future RUG to have the SMEs come and explain more. Okay. All right. I'm going to go on spring of 2026. Okay, so we have DAME, and we do have several updates here that I want to go over. So for DAME, you'll see in the first update is for the BRS. So we do have a BRS revision 1.1 that's planned for publication December 22nd. And you'll see that the theme of those updates is really clarifications, correction of typos, and then just a general cleanup of the document. We also have some requirements that are moving from DAME to EDAM and vice versa. And then we have the BRS alignment with the file tariff and clarifications with the policy. So, so expect that to come out soon, and then we look forward to having the SMEs come to a RUG to go over some of those changes after the BRS is published. And then also to your feedback as well. Okay. So then on tariff activities, we are requesting by December 21st to have the FERC response for that filing. And then for config guides, you can see the 3 sets with the first set on track to publish January 16th. We have a lot of activity in the tech spec space. So OASIS was made available November 9th. The master file tech spec for DAME as well as the GRDT version 19 draft are available now as of November 21st. And then we do have CMRI tech specs coming up November 30th, and then Cyber December 15th. You'll see BPMs haven't changed, so they're expected in April. So it's training in May of 2025. Scenarios have remained unchanged since their publication in August. The market sim starts in June. You'll see the deployment of the code is still planned for fall of 2025, and then the activation is planned for spring 2026. So we are considering this a spring 2026 release item. Okay. All right. Jenny, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, good morning. So for the, thank you for sharing the BRS going to be revision to reflect some of the changes. I'm just thinking, how does this impacting our tech spec, right? If any tech spec is going to impact by the BRS change, and especially some of the EDAM or the DAM items is going to go to each other. So I think it would be also great that we can also make sure the tech spec portion is correctly reflecting the update scope of the each initiative.
Okay, thank you. That's a really good point too. We know a lot of these deliverables are interdependent, just like tariff impacts BRS. BRS may impact tech specs. So that's something that I can take back to the team and just have them just confirm if that's accounted for or if they anticipate any possible changes to the tech specs based on the BRS revision. So we'll provide that clarity where we can.
Sounds
Good,
great.
thank you.
And then, yeah, and then hopefully in the revision, we can also see what requirement from the DAM BRS is moved to EDAM and vice versa. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We do anticipate following our normal process and posting a red line of that too. So hopefully that'll provide the visibility. But again, we look forward to the feedback after we post that to be able to provide any other clarification. So this is just a summary. I'm not going to go over it in detail, but it does give a preview of the BRS revisions that we expect to be in that version 1.1. And you'll see the bulk of the changes or the details listed here are really just to align the BRS with the tariff changes, which we've talked about in several of the RUG meetings already, that we did anticipate that since the BRS was published prior to the tariff. Some of the tariff activities. So that's there for reference. And again, we'll queue up some SMEs to come to a future RES to cover any questions that come up from now until then about these changes and any feedback that we get on the BRS once it's published. Okay, so moving on to EDAM. So EDAM, similarly, will also have an external BRS revision planned for by December 29, and that again will follow the same theme. So as you saw, some of the requirements are moving from DAME to EDAM and vice versa. So this revision in EDAM will reflect those as well as make sure that it's aligned with the tariff and then have any other cleanup that we might have needed to do since the August publication. Okay. And then again, for the FERC response, we did request that by December 21st, which is also the effective date that we requested for the EDAM agreements and onboarding provisions. The config guides align with DAME. And then for tech specs, you can see the list that we are anticipating to publish for. And you'll see that some of these do overlap with the DAME tech specs. However, I want to be clear that the tech specs that were published for master file and for the other DAME one that was already published, I believe was OASIS, those are just for DAME at this point, and there will be an additional revision for those to include EDAM. So, so that's why you don't see dates for this yet. We do, even though there's some of the same tech specs, we do anticipate another revision for EDAM. Okay, so we're working on the schedule, the delivery schedule for those tech spec changes, and then we'll provide those shortly. So then we have BPMs that also are targeted for 6 weeks prior to, or the PRRs 6 weeks prior to market simulation start of June. And training will, of course, be an important activity here. The deployment is planned for fall release in October 2025, and then the activation will be spring 2026. Any questions or comments here? All right. We have a new item here for EDAM ISO BAA Participation Rules Track A. Some of you may have seen this go through the stakeholder process, and you'll see the high-level scope and then the tariff changes that have 5 elements there. And right now, we did file on November 13 and requested a response by February 15, and then the production effective date is spring 2026. So we'll continue to build in additional milestones that are relevant here, but we wanted to introduce this into the implementation space as well, to follow along with the stakeholder efforts that are underway. Any questions or comments here? All right. And then we have a new slide here for our WEIM onboarding of Berkshire Hathaway Energy, Montana, and that is planned for spring of 2026. So I'll update the top table, but the bottom table does show the appropriate milestones for market simulation is planned for December 2025 through January 2026, with parallel operations February 2026 to March 2026, with our readiness certification filing March of 2026 and a production activation May 2026. So this follows the typical WEIM onboarding framework. So we'll continue to bring more visibility to this as we move along as well. Any questions or comments here? All right. So that takes us to the end of the presentation. We do have a RUG on December 12th. And then the December 26th one, I'll leave on the calendar for now, and we can revisit that on the 12th to see if we need to continue with the RUG on the 26th. Okay. So, and then the calendar for 2024 for the RUG is also available here. So I'll take any final questions or comments, and I see Carlos has a hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just one question regarding the market sim that's going to start on December 11th. I don't see calendar dates for calls, and like you mentioned, you're going to revisit the December 26th. So what will be the schedule for those calls during this the holiday period?
Yeah, so we plan to kick off the market sim calls on Thursdays and Mondays at 2 o'clock Pacific, and those will start on December 7th And then those will go at least through the month of December, and we can kind of reevaluate then, but those will go through December at least. And okay, does that help, Carla?
Okay, so it's yes, thank you.
Yeah, we'll add those to the calendar too. So you should start to see those by next week. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Vera, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning. I jumped a little bit late, but I saw in the beginning of the presentation there was a slide for the CRR that market sim dates are on March 18 to May 3rd on 2024. Is that a possible spring release right there, the spring or summer release, or is just a market sim dates? That's on
That's it.
in the beginning of the presentation on the CRR.
Yeah, sure. So for CRR here, so yes, there is potentially going to be a market simulation for our summer release that that may be around the same time frame there, and so we'll coordinate those activities and make sure that there's no impact either way to any of those initiatives. But at that time, we do anticipate some market sim activities for summer this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Vera. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay. All right, then thank you for joining us today. This presentation and recording will be posted later today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.